Welcome back. You're watching Metropole Television. This is your official economic review. Now, Housing Finance, that is HF Group, reported a net loss of 346.1 million for the first 6 months of the year to 295.5 million in the first 6 months of 2021, representing an increase of 17%. In the review period, the lender saw its balance sheet size shrink to 52.9 billion from 56.5 billion in the first 6 months of this year, with customer deposits also taking a hit to drop to 37.8 billion from 39.2 billion in the first half of this year, in a similar period last year as well. HF took more caution in extending loans in the review period, with net loans to HF customers falling to 35.3 billion from 38.2 billion during the period under review. Total interest income from loans to customers, government securities and deposits held in other financial institutions fell from 2.4 billion in the first 6 months of 2020 to 1.9 billion in the first 6 months of 2021. Let's jump onto that data this morning before I introduce our guest this morning. Is going to take us through the entire of that conversation. I'm waiting for it to post now. Yes, there it is. And that's exactly where we are in terms of total interest income. You can see exactly where they are. Those are the first 6 months of 2021. Now, loss before tax, we're still seeing them being on the negative as well. Yes, that's where we are. Let me just look at it. And loss after tax, we are still talking about negative 346 in terms of million there, and loss before tax, the word negative 318. Let's look at that profitability trend for HF, so we can actually make a case for them this morning as well. Do we have the next data set? All right, seems as if we do not have it this morning, but we shall be posting it as of when and how we have it as well. Let me introduce Robert Kanyuri this morning. How are you, Robert? Good morning, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man. All right, let's look at that. I mean, when you're looking at that performance in the first 6 months of 2021, how would you summarize HF's performance?
I don't know. I think the best way to summarize HF's performance in this period, I think, is more as an anomaly.
Yes.
Because you're seeing in a recovering banking sector, we still have HF lagging behind. And normally we would have expected that, of course, as we have other banks recording almost 100% increase in the profits, but then we still have HF, which recorded, of course, a loss last year, then increasing the loss actually that it made. So it's more of an anomaly because what we see, the actions that they took is maybe being more cautious in their lending, which so, of course, as you've already highlighted, their net loans, which decreased by 7.5%. And we also see that their provisions declined by 78.2%. So it's a bank that took a cautious approach in the first half of the year, but still what we can see is that it was still not enough. So operating income still declined by 2.2%. And what we can see from HF is that it still needs a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
Because all the banks from the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 all recorded at least an improvement in performance. So to have a bank, especially a listed bank, still recording losses and an increase in losses for that matter, it's a worrying sign for management and also investors.
Right, would you say that their performance, because they are inclined to the real estate sector in the country, would you say then that that is a reflection of the general performance of real estate sector, or this is just a case of HF?
Well, I would say it's a mix of both of them.
Yes.
Because if you look at the real estate sector, it's on the recovery side of things.
Yes.
And also the sector on its own is broad because we have a couple of things that go on. We have commercial, we have retail. Also, we have construction, which is actually doing pretty well. We are seeing construction activities increasing throughout here. So there's a bit of a mix of both because even for the real estate that was COVID by challenges, we still according performances who are really one of the highest non-performing loans ratio in the year. But it's not down to real estate itself. Also, they're more down meeting their model because for HF things ahead for sure.
So if you look at HF as well, Robert, we did see them announcing a change of strategy in their business when they told us, well, we are not going to get into direct construction of buildings because they were taking a bigger hit from that. They said we're going to get into just mortgages and selling of existing units. If you look at that, do you think that that has had any impact in the result that we're talking about here for HF?
Well, the number line and it's still recorded a dip in the performance, so it hasn't had the internet effect. But the problem also that real estate and conversion of the assets into profits, into challenge during this unprecedented times. Main challenge they are facing, of course, it was in the right direction, because now the bank needs to also look at its activities, needs to cut down on costs, especially like staff, which recorded an increase in other operating expenses. So they still need to look at their at least improve. Overlongs to see the benefits of this. They also had a capital injection by the RITAM, which we still haven't seen the results of which. So I think their main now avenue is maybe trying to pass maybe from just one sector, real estate, to also retailing.
Pretty much. Yvonne, I do not, but we seem to have a connection problem to Robert. I don't know whether we correct that before we continue, because this is a really interesting conversation that I'd like us to continue. We are really breaking on and off. We take a short break, so we look into that and then come back and continue with this conversation this morning. We apologize for that short technical hitch that we're experiencing in the studio. Good morning.